on road for SS1 of the Middle of Everywhere Gippsland Rally. And Dean, what have you made of the first few cars that we've seen through this set of tricky corners at the spectator point so far?
Great start to the rally, this little junction. Actually quite difficult, a little blast up here about 400 metres, left-hander, bank on the inside, then a hairpin you just see on the right. So there's a little bit going on early. Great crowd so far, and we can see some exuberant driving from a few people already. Particularly, we saw Scott Petter come through there pretty wild. He stalled it on the line, which would have made him angry, no doubt. And I reckon Glenn McNeil will have a task calming him down for the rest of the stage. We'll hopefully get some splits and some stage times as they come through and see some of the other cars running through. But no, it's been an interesting start already.
So first on the road, we had Harry Bates and Coral Taylor, followed by Nathan Quinn and Ray Winwood-Smith. And then we had Lewis Bates and Anthony McLaughlin. And then just before we saw Lucaneer, we had Scott Petter, as you said. So we've had the fastest cars through so far. What do you make of the rest of the field that we're about to see coming through?
The thing is, at the moment, the depth of the Australian Rally Championship is very, very good. So, yes, they're the top 5 seeds. The cars we'll see coming through now, though, are knocking on the door of podiums, results. We've got Luff Brothers, Gonzalez, all these people in the mix, as well as production cup cars. So that's the beauty of the Australian Championship at the moment, is the depth is there. We've got some amazing outright cars. The production cars are fighting it, being on podiums and stuff. Eddie Maguire's about to come out. He's actually the first rally for a while in the same car. So he's been obviously changing cars each round. So the fact he's in the same car this weekend will be helpful for him. And of course, he podiumed last round out, on debut with that Skoda.
Finally, some consistency for him in that machinery, but a new car, and we just mentioned, we touched upon the flamboyance of Scott Petter as he came through this set of corners. New car for him this weekend.
Yeah, Scott Petter and a Skoda. He has driven a Skoda, of course, in the WRC as we have a look through here. This is, of course, Troy Dow aboard the new Ford. Let's have a look. So speaking of new car for Troy Dow, that is absolutely a brand spanking new car bought from M Sport in Europe, flown over for this event. Obviously had some issues with the Mitsubishi. Dad's driving, going to try and, I guess, develop that car. So it's a new car. Little tentative under there compared to some of the other guys. I mean, it's a very tricky corner, like we said. It's actually hard to see the banking on the inside. But you see how just jittery a little bit with the decision making, sort of hear the throttle on and off a little bit, which is to be expected, in a brand new car. Once these, roads get a bit more flowing, he'll build some confidence and things like that. But like I said, brand new car, and he'll be learning on the run.
With your experience and your knowledge, how would you be suggesting that Troy approaches this rally in that brand new car and something that's fairly new to him? I mean, he had a couple of rallies in that Skoda R5, but then transitioned to the Mitsubishi, and his confidence took a knock in Gympie when he had those issues. I think it was a stuck throttle.
Yeah, and a steering issue as well.
Brake failure. Yeah, it was hairy, and you can't blame him for his confidence being knocked. So what would you be saying to him how to approach this rally in this brand new car?
Yeah, I think what they've done is right. They've put Dad's come back. So, Justin's a former champion. He's come back to do the development of that car. That car's a great machine. We hope to see it doing more and more rounds. So rather than Troy trying to develop it, let him be the junior guy. He's very talented. Last year we were singing his praises in that Hyundai. I think just by easing his way in. The good thing about getting a car like that is off the shelf. It's a proven WRC Rally 2 winner, so you don't need to do too much with it. It's got a pretty broad window of being able to drive it. So I think just get his confidence back. Every stage he does, every kilometre he does today and tomorrow will build that confidence up, and that's probably what he needs. It's just confidence and a clean run in these cars. The R5 car or WRC 2 cars are a little bit different to drive, it seems like. We saw that with Eddie Maguire talking us through that in Queensland as he fires up down the road now. You could see the extra confidence there of Eddie coming through in comparison to Troy. You sort of see he set it up early, had it thrown in one go, didn't have 2 bites at it, and then into the hairpin and stuff like that. So you can sort of see in 2 cars already someone who's really aggressive and used to the car, even though there's only 2 rallies old for him, doing a great job.
Having said that, he was pretty tentative in Gympie, but we saw in Gympie that tentative approach was the way to go. Harry said throughout the weekend that he wasn't ever giving it really 100%, but until really the power stage, because of how conservative you had to be on those roads. It really came down to attrition at the end of the day and who could manage those roads the best, and that was what paid off for Eddie.
And that's probably what Troy needs to do. Troy needs to take a leaf out of that book. Eddie came in, was getting used to it, did an amazing job in the production cup car in the early rounds, and so to come into that, he played it the right way. Queensland, those roads are very, very tricky. You have to give them some respect. respect. Here they're a little, I guess, less, they're sort of more flowing, I guess. So, but you can sort of see straight away, though, that's super aggressive in my opinion from Eddie. So he's obviously going, right, rally's done, I've got one under the belt, and he sort of shows that attacking style. So I think from that point of view, what Eddie did first time around is what Troy should try and do in that forward, just bank some good results, and he'll end up with an outright result at the end of the day. So
now let's touch on this spectator point, because it's still filling up behind us. We've got crowds coming, though, cars lined up down the road when we're trying to find a spot. It's really good to see so many people from this Gippsland area come out and support this rally.
Well, it's fantastic. The stage start, as you can see, is just down the road there. I'm going to probably 300 metres, left-hander. You got the bank on the inside, which a few guys have taken. Scott Penn in particular, you saw Eddie sort of attack it. So the left front lips up, the production cars up here, a little bit careful of that. Then you got a handbrake turn into the right-hander. Depending how you get through the left is depending how you're going to attack this right-hander. So let's have a look here as we've got Alex Rouleau. So you see a double bite at it, lips it up onto the inside. Oh, whoa, 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 he's gone past. So a brain fade there for him. He's actually overshot, which happens if we hear someone overshoot. He's going to do a hairpin, flick it around, and up the road he goes. So an early mistake from Rouleau.
He's, of course, still learning this rallying gig. It's fairly new to him, coming from circuit racing his whole life, but he's having a blast. We caught up with him last night and he's really enjoying his time behind the wheel.
He is, and like you said, he's actually a very good talent. In that one, that would have been probably a case of sitting on the start line, seeing the spectators, and just not listening to the co-driver. If we're out in the middle of the forest there, he wouldn't have made that mistake. It would have been a left into a turn right, or a T-junction right. You saw him attack the left. Vision was up and just probably wasn't listening. And that's part of the difficult, and the things you're learning about rallying is to sort of, I guess, take all that on board at the same time. So.
Well, the crowd is all buzzing now.
Yeah. Well, it's a quick recovery.
The volume of the crowd has suddenly gone up after seeing that chaos.
And the thing is, it's an overshoot. You'll see that the roads block quite heavily down there. So that's sort of a fair way to go. So he's been able to, see that visually as well. Has enough room. We couldn't see it, but it's probably jumped on the handbrake, full loop around. Didn't lose a lot of time and scooted up and made the left-hander up. But, yeah.
Now, clearly the car looked mechanically fine, but as a driver, how does that affect your mindset? A mistake that early into the rally, and it's not like it was hidden, it was in front of everyone. How do you then kind of go, all right, reset, get my head back in gear, listen to my co-driver? Yeah, how do you manage that as a driver?
Well, that is the trick, and that's where the experience comes in. And that's when an experienced co-driver will come in. We were talking before, Scott Petter stalled off the line, which you'll hate. I mean, these things run almost a launch control system, so it's very rare that you stall off the line. You've just got to just calm down. The adrenaline's going to be up. You're going to be a bit angry with yourself. Attacking the next 2 kilometres and trying to make it all up in 2 corners is not the way to do it. And that's when a good co-driver will just calm them down. Let's just get back on pace. It's a long day to go. So as we go up here, Daniel Gonzalez from West Australia, John Allen aboard this one.
Now he's having a fantastic time getting to all the ARC rounds this year, and he's always got a massive smile on his face, but it's a big learning process for him, as we've touched upon before.
Daniel is running, this is his 4th event in 6 weekends. He did Queensland, went down to Bateman's Bay the next weekend in New South Wales, then went back to Perth for the round of the state championship, which he's leading that championship, got a 4th place there, and is now back here. So he is doing the maximum amount of events that he can because he's very new to it as well. We talked about Troy and everybody else being new. He's only been in the sport for about 2 years. I mean, he's come from a bit of a circuit racing background, had nothing to do with motor racing at all. So the fact that he is on form, got a 4th in the second heat, obviously made a mistake in the first heat in Queensland, which cost him basically the day. I reckon he could have been on the podium if he had done a bit of an Eddie Maguire type sort of rally. Came back for 4th, which was very, very strong. So from that point of view, he did an amazing job to be able to just be, getting back up to speed, getting himself up, after a mistake on the Saturday. You saw here, little tentative, much more straight. So to me, that just shows his little nervous energy this morning, was straight, so didn't get himself set up. Did an okay job on the hairpin, didn't make a mistake, was able to buzz out of that in first gear, but you can sort of see the attitude change of the people who are really confident with the car, let it sort of dance, particularly as you've got the left into the right, how you attack the left will sort of make up how you're going to take the hairpin. So we're sort of seeing some quite varied differences even in 2 corners, but he's doing a good job.
And of course a new co-driver for Daniel Gonzalez this weekend.
Yeah, he's got John Allen aboard, so John's got a lot of experience, done a lot of international rallies, used to be with Richie Dalton back in the day, and even did some stuff with Walkham, the Tassie team. So he's come back. I think he's now retired several times, a bit of the John Farnham move in the Australian Championship, but Daniel wants a good experienced co-driver on board, so John can bring that. So. Now
we've got the Luff brothers coming through now in this AP4 Yaris that they've been getting to grips with well over the last few rallies.
yeah, it's been a learning curve for them. You know, brand new car. They've had a few mechanical issues, which are disappointing. They could have been on the podium as well. You know, it was one of those rallies actually, Queensland, where lots of people, top 10, if you played it right, could have been on the podium. But their pace was there, and they were in that position. Had a mechanical issue with the Toyota. They've done a lot of work in the lead up to this one, so they just want a trouble-free run, to be honest.
Now let's touch upon the fact that this is an endurance rally. We saw at Gympie an awful lot of cars. I remember getting to the first service of the day and going, well, half the competitors are out.
Yeah.
We can't keep up. But because it was a sprint rally,
Yes.
it was a sprint format, all those people who had, or most of those people who had issues, were then able to come back for the Sunday. But then, of course, that doesn't happen this weekend,
it
being
doesn't.
an endurance round.
So we touched on Daniel Gonzalez, used him as the example. So he nosedived the car, had radiator damage, was out for the day. Pretty much no points on the Saturday, reset and got 4th place for Sunday. That, like you say, won't happen this time. This is going to be today's results into tomorrow. So they'll reseed tonight. So, you know, tonight's lead, if there's someone got a 20-second lead, they'll take that into tomorrow. So you've got to be able to make sure that I don't think you drive any different. It's just the way it's structured. Some of the things, like we've seen Toyota have a few little mechanical issues. You know, obviously, you know, Lewis was able to bounce back strong on Sunday because he obviously had that power steering issue and got 4th. You know, recovered very well on the day, but was able to then be in the fight with Harry on the Sunday, you know, fighting for stage wins. That would affect you here as well. So it's sort of more the fact that you can't limp through and expect to be able to bite back all that time. So I think it's sort of, it doesn't, like I said, change your style. Some people it will suit. You might luck in regards to the result a little bit, but you do just have to be conscious that these points don't count until Sunday. You can do everything perfect, and if you don't get that power stage right and cross the line with the time, you're not going to get the points.
Now, next on road, we have Bodie Reading. It'll be really good to see him gain more confidence this weekend, I hope.
Yeah, let's have a look at the production car go through. Young guy doing amazing things from Tassie. The Subaru sounds really good. You saw in the setup there, he took a lot more of the apex on the left-hander, so the car pitched up and probably doesn't have the mechanical diffs, or he's got mechanical diffs for the hairpin, sorry. So, you know, the other cars can brake the diff with a handbrake. It'll sort of, you know, release the centre diff and allow the car to pivot more. He had to be a little bit more circumspect on the left to make the right-hander, so more mechanical diff setup. You know, that car's 2 decades old and he's doing an amazing job in it. You know, it's a very good and capable car, and it's great to see him still doing rally. He wasn't supposed to be in any of these rounds, but leading the White Wolf Productions, Construction Production Cup, which is awesome, and he'll be in a great fight with Steve Maguire from Tassie. So the two Tassies are really battling it out in that Production Cup.
And seeing him bounce back in Gympie after a difficult weekend in WA was really good. Now, thank you for joining us this morning. Make sure that you keep following the ARC social channels over the weekend, and on Subaru Rally Results Hub, you can catch all the results as they're updated live. Thanks very much for joining us, and don't forget to tune into the Power Stage live on 7 Plus on Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m.